The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm going to go ahead and put their logo in the top right corner so you know where to go if you're in the market for a new or used vehicle. It is Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown right there. So, man, they go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, and we continue to do so today. It's Friday football. It's playoff time. Regional semifinals on tap tonight. Can't wait. We're going to preview that. We're also going to probably have time for a couple of more basketball previews as well on this episode of Running Point. Full disclosure before we start, gotta say this. My dog is in my room. My mom is having someone look at the car outside. He can hear him outside. So I promise you, if he makes some noises, he is a lot quieter in here than he would be if he was out there. And I obviously don't have a soundproof house. So unfortunately, got to make the best of his situation, right? So if he makes some noises, sorry, what can you do? Like I said, he's going to be quieter in here than he would be if he was out there where he could hear my mom and the person looking at the car talking all the time. So there you go. There he is right there. But I promise you, once again, a lot quieter in here than he would be out there. Let's preview the football action that we have tonight on YSNLive.com. As you can see up there on the scoreboard, brought to you by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. This YSN scoreboard is a great tool for our fans as they can go on live at YSNLive.com. If they're at a game or maybe one of our broadcasts, they don't want to look away from their screen or game too long. This is a great tool for the fans to go on and see live updated scores and everything they can do. So here you go, Friday, November 10th, 2023, regional semifinal action. And we start in Division 5, Garrettsville Garfield taking on the first-seeded Perry Pirates. Perry has been a team that YSN has seen in the playoffs for a long time. I think every year that YSN has been established, someone in the playoffs has actually played Perry. Going back when Gerard played them in 2018 during their big playoff run. So Perry has definitely been an established football team in the playoffs. They're very, very good. They're very tradition-based, very winning program. This might be the best year they've had, which is, considering they've had a lot of success, something to be said. Perry has a very, very tough schedule this year. That shows you that they're the 1 seed. They beat out South Range for the 1 seed in Division 5. And you know how tough South Range's schedule was. So to be able to knock them off the 1 seed is pretty dang impressive. Perry, biggest win this year, most notable win this year, of course, is beating Kirtland. Now, you can believe if you want that maybe Kirtland's not exactly as good as they've been, or they're not that unbeatable juggernaut that they have been. But at the end of the day, it's still Kirtland, right? It's still Kirtland. If you beat them in the regular season, you're doing something right because they haven't been beat in the regular season in a really, really long time. But Perry did it this time around. So that being said, they're going to go up against Garrettsville Garfield. Now we talk about Garfield going on. Garfield's got a heck of a running game. They're rolling on all cylinders right now. They're playing so well. This has the makings of one of those games where both teams are playing very well. They're both kind of having the same strength as the other, and they're going to collide, which, man, there it can go so many different ways. It really can. You can have one team, just be better. You can have both teams be very, very evenly matched. You can see some mistakes in this game. I think it's going to come down to who handles the situation better. I know Perry wants this bad because Perry has been so close to going into that state tournament for a long time, and they just haven't been able to win that big game. And I know this isn't the regional final. This is just a semis. But I think Perry's sick of being that team that's second best. You know what I'm saying? Like that team that's so close to state but can't get there. That can be good for a team. That can also be bad for a team. Let's be honest, because if you want something too bad, it can make it tight. And especially in this kind of game where, Garfield is going to take advantage of every mistake you make. They've proven that this year. There have been a couple of teams that have had good starts, close starts, competitive halves against Garfield, but then they make a couple mistakes and boom, G-Men just roll on them like that. So in a playoff game like this, sometimes if you want it too bad, you make the game bigger than it is, and then all of a sudden those mistakes get very magnified, and all of a sudden you start playing tight. You start trying not to make mistakes instead of playing to win. And I don't know if that'll happen to Perry. I honestly can't tell you if it will, but I'm saying it has the makings of it being that kind of team where they want it really, really, really bad. They're primed for it. Everyone's talking about them getting it this year. This is Perry's year. Of course, they're saying that in the Pirates community. But Garrettsville Garfield, not afraid of anyone. They have a really good running attack, really good defense that is opportunistic. And then if you go look at the tackle numbers for Garrettsville Garfield, like they have a lot of just really strong tacklers. They don't miss a lot of tackles, which is good against this Perry offense. Excuse me. Good against this Perry offense. You don't want to give them more than Sorry about that. They don't want to give you. You don't want to give them more than they can get. So you don't want to have a lot of broken tackles. And Garfield's been really, really good at that this year, clearing up their tackles, wrapping up, getting people to the ground. And I think that's the reason why Garrettsville Garfield has a really good chance in this game. Quite honestly, I mean, you want to give respect to Perry as the 1 seed. They've obviously had a very good season, but at the same time, you got to believe like Garfield has a really good shot. I think they're underseeded. I know it's computer rankings, so there's no voting, so there's not like a human factor in seeding these, but I think they're a very dangerous 5 seed. They proved that last week, going to the 4th seed at Harrison Central and really just dominating that game, proving that it wasn't even close, 4-5. So, we'll see how it goes tonight against Perry. We move on to the next game, Archbishop Hoban. They will go and play Riverside, Paynesville Riverside. Hoban, obviously the 1 seed. They're the favorites in this game. So we go from a team that is playing the 1 seed to a team that is the 1 seed. And when you look at this game, I think Hoban, I think that loss in the end of the regular season was the best thing that could have happened for him. Because you look at the first 2 weeks of the playoffs, man, are they fine-tuned, focused, lasered in to what they want to do. Not saying they weren't in the regular season, but after things started to go their way again and again and again and again and again, I think maybe in that last regular season game, they could see the promised land a little bit and got a little bit ahead of themselves, maybe a little bit. So they took that loss. It was a good game, 14-7, and they just kind of absorbed the loss and went right back to it. And now they're a team in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs that look very focused, very locked in. And it's going to be really hard to upset Hoban today if you're Paynesville Riverside. We go on to Ursuline, and this is a familiar opponent in the playoffs. I mean, it seems like VSAJ, excuse me. No, I said that right the first time. Sorry. Villa Anna St. Joe's. It seems like they're always a team that is just, sticking in the playoffs, just like Perry. Always there, always consistently good. traditional program, hard to beat. I'll tell you what, Ursuline has to have a little bit better offense than they did last week. I give a lot of credit to Canfield, but at the same time, like, you got to execute. I said it against. I said it on Wednesday with Scotty when he was asking me about the games, and I said, yes, Canfield's defense played really, really well. They had a good game plan, but at the end of the day, there are still things that Dan Reardon is going to look at that film and say, we didn't execute this, we didn't execute this, we didn't execute there. No matter how good a defense is, it always comes down to how an offense executes, right? You very rarely see an offense execute perfectly and then the defense still able to stop them. That doesn't happen too often. Usually, it's a good mixture of a defense forcing the offense to not be able to execute their scheme because of what they're doing. So for Ursuline's offense, they got to get a lot better execution on offense. They really do. A lot better execution. They pulled off that last drive, but they were dangerously close to being knocked out of the playoffs super early last week against Canfield. And I think it was a culmination of they wanted it, like we talked about with Perry. Ursuline wanted that game bad. Canfield was the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. I think they had Canfield circled for months and months and months, going back to the winter lifting in the weight room. I think they had Canfield probably circled on the dumbbells in the weight room for Ursuline. So maybe a little bit of wanting it too much, but still, you watch the film and there are several things that it's like you just didn't execute there. You just didn't get the job done in that particular play or that particular block or that particular read. I think things like that, Ursuline's got to shore up a little bit because it only gets harder. So you can't really escape every week. You can't escape that kind of lack of execution. I will say that Ursuline's defense on the other end played pretty dang well too. I think we got a very clear reminder that this defense is very good. A lot of people talk about Ursuline's offense, rightfully so. Very good on the offensive end. But at the same time, like, their defense can go and win games. And it takes a lot of pressure off that offense to know that, hey, if we're struggling, our defense can get it. Our defense can handle it. And they're going to have a good mixture of both because I don't think they're going to hold down VASJ completely. But I do think they're going to have to make a couple of key stops in moments of the game. We go on to West Branch, a familiar foe, Canton South, old EBC rival. Only, 2 years removed from being in the EBC? So this used to be a team that they saw every single year. I'm sure there are some players on the team that vividly remember playing Canton South. This year, Canton South is a juggernaut, though. Like, I think West Branch and Salem and everybody else in the EBC kind of happy that they got out of the league when they did because they're maybe the best team they've had in a long time. Canton South is very good. You look at West Branch the last 2 weeks of the playoffs, kind of escaping both weeks. They escaped Woodridge with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, and then they escaped Streetsboro with a kickoff return for a touchdown in the fourth quarter. You got to wonder, like, hey, are they going to wake up a little bit and play a much better game? Because I'll tell you, West Branch is awesome, but if they play the way they did against Woodridge and Streetsboro, I don't know if they're going to win this game. They have to play better. They have to have better defense, better consistency on offense. You saw them have really good offensive drives, and then, they're not good. So they got to get a little bit more consistent, a little bit more rhythm. It feels like West Branch has just kind of found a little bit of hills and valleys, if that makes sense. They're not staying even with their football. So they're looking really, really good at times. And then in the same drive or the same quarter or even the same half, it's like, well, where did that West Branch go? They're very streaky right now. And to win playoff games late, especially in the regional semis, regional finals, you got to be locked in from one quarter to fourth, right? You got to be locked in from the first snap to the last snap. You cannot ride the roller coaster in these games because honestly, the deeper you go in the playoffs, the harder it is to get out of a roller coaster because the more ups and downs you're going to get. You're getting closer, which means the emotions get higher, which means the tightness gets a little bit tighter. So you got to be able to be very mentally tough, not ride the roller coasters, and play a consistent game. If West Branch does that, I promise you they'll win this game. Their offense is not going to be stopped. It hasn't been stopped all year. No one stopped West Branch's offense. Even in those games they escaped. They've scored at least 25 points in every game, right? So no one's stopping West Branch's offense. The key for them is, can they just make those key defensive stops in key moments of the game? Your defense does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to get every single stop, but it just has to get the stops in the big moments. And I'm talking like after your team scores, go and get a stop, right? Into the first quarter, into the first half, go and get a stop. Close game in the fourth quarter, go get a stop. Those kind of big plays on defense are what West Branch is going to need to win this game, because I don't think either offense is going to be completely shut down. So it's going to come down to which defense makes those key stops in key moments. And hopefully West Branch can learn from the 2 wins they already have, where they did make those key stops. I'll give them credit for that, even though I've been saying they got to get a little bit more consistent. They did make those key, very game-winning play stops late in the game. So you got to give them credit for that. They know how to win, and they're going to have that again against Canton South, because this will be the hardest test they have all season long. You go into Struthers, they're playing really well right now, and they're going into a Middle Lake Catholic team that looked kind of streaky, to be honest, against Niles. They played good at times, and they let Niles back in the game, and they played good again, 35-21. Middle Lake Catholic got the win, but I'll tell you what, it was not an overwhelmingly impressive win against Niles. It wasn't one of those games where I saw it and I said, this Middle Lake Catholic team looks unbeatable. Struthers is going into a very good situation right now, because it's a Middle Lake Catholic team. They can be kind of like West Branch, up and down. So if you get them on the down trend and keep them down there, like Poland did against, like Struthers did against Poland last week, man, did they keep them down 9 points against the Bulldogs they allowed. And I know that was a team they just saw 2 weeks ago, so the familiarity of what the offense they ran was very, very high, but still, Struthers defense holding them down to 9 points. Very impressive. I think Struthers defense is going to be the one that wins this game for them. Offense does enough, defense wins the game. I like what I see from Struthers, because the cliche in football that I agree with is eventually defenses win championships, right? You can go to South Range last year. Yes, they blew out the state championship game. Yes, their offense was awesome. But look at what their defense did to Coldwater. And look at what their defense did to Ironton. Ironton. I mean, it was just, they punched them in the mouth. They never stopped going, and Ironton could not get anything at all out of their offensive game, because South Range was just killing them on offense and on defense. Their offense ran away with it, but their defense made it so Ironton could never respond. I would argue that South Range's defense won that game for them, because they set the tone. First drive, second drive, third drive, Ironton could get nothing going at all. And I think in games like that, where the offense scores a bunch of points, you kind of lose the fact that the defense allowed almost nothing. Defense wins championships. Struthers is playing really good defense right now. Talking about good defense, talking about that South Range team that won the state championship last year. Their quest for a repeat continues, as they will go to Barberton, the Purple Magic Palace, and they will play Clearview, a team that they have not seen, I don't believe, in the playoffs in their last couple of years. So now a new playoff opponent popping up, Clearview versus South Range. And I keep saying it about the Raiders. I'll keep saying it about the Raiders. They get better every week. Just better, 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 better. And when you do that, you're going to be a very good football team going to the playoffs. I think they did a couple of things really, really well last week. But when I look at film, it's like, hey, let's get better at this. Let's get off to a better start this time. I think both the first drives of the playoffs in their first 2 playoff games haven't been exactly what South Range wants. So let's get off to a better start. Let's have that first drive. Let's have those first 15 plays that are scripted out. Let's execute those and set the tone really, really early with our offense. Things like that South Range can continue to get better and better and better at. I love watching this team this year, because it feels like every week when I see something, it's like they need to get better at that. And then the next week, oh, they're better at that. It happened in the playoffs. Like when you saw them going up against the first round of the playoffs, you said, oh, they need to get better at, stopping the run. They need to get better at containing this offense and being able to grab some momentum early, and then the South Range comes out in the playoff game in the next round. They grab that momentum pretty dang early. They don't let the other team do anything in their first Ridgewood. They don't let Ridgewood do anything in their first drive after a turnover. And then South Range just grabs that game by the throat and just won't let go of it, which is something they didn't really do until the second half in their first round playoff game. So it's like, man, South Range just keeps getting better. So you keep going on, and it's like, hey, something South Range maybe didn't execute perfectly against Ridgewood. Guarantee they're going to do it this time because that team continues to adjust and adjust and adjust. It's a testament to their coaching staff. Love watching South Range play football this year. And I love they doing a lot of things the same way, but you can tell there are wrinkles in there that they're doing a little bit differently this year on offense that I kind of love seeing as well. So South Range goes into the regional semifinals against Clearview. Middle Ridge in their first ever regional semifinal. We're excited for the Rams, and they have looked very good the first 2 weeks of the playoffs, especially. Let's go back to defense, right? Their defense has looked phenomenal in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. They haven't given up more than 10 points in the playoffs yet this year. Oh, my word. Like, Rams, if you keep doing that, this Mogador team is not built for comebacks. So if you get that early lead and you put your defense in a position where they can get aggressive and they can penetrate that offensive line and they can make things really hard for that running style offense, man, you can do a lot of good things. You can do a lot of good things. Look at what they did against Rootstown last week. 17-9. They let Rootstown just continue to just turn their wheels and bash their head against the wall, trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. And Middle Ridge just kept stopping them. I love their defense right now, playing very, very well. And yes, Mogador is a very good football team, but look at their offense. They're not world beater juggernauts. Mogador wins with defense and slowing the game down, right? So I think Middle Ridge proved last week against Rootstown they can win that kind of game. 17-9 was not high scoring. They didn't have a lot of offensive possessions. They made the most of the ones they did have. And their defense came up and made stops time and time again. So I think Middle Ridge actually looks pretty good in this game, considering the way they played last week. I think that style of football against Rootstown is really going to prepare them for tonight against Mogador. I'm very high on Middle Ridge right now, and I think they're primed for an upset. Lowville going to Danville, and man, Danville's looked very, very, very good their first 2 weeks of the playoffs. I think this is a very tall mountain to climb for Lowville. Danville has given up a total of 13 points in their first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and they've won 51-7 and then 35-36 or 35-7. I mean, it's been Danville's show in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and that was a very good Springfield team that they beat last week. A Springfield team that honestly gave Lowville some problems and was a really good game against Lowville. So, I know you can't take one game after another. Matchups are matchups. So, but the casual football fan will probably look at those 2 games and go, well, Springfield played Lowville close and then got, beat up by Danville. So that would, football math would say, oh, Danville's a clear favorite in this game. They're a favorite. But what I think they don't say is the fact that Lowville's defense is playing really, really well in this playoffs. Look what they did to Western Reserve. That's all you have to know. I mean, Western Reserve was a team that beat them earlier on in the season. And that tells you that matchups, you can't take one game and define a whole team by that one game. So just because Lowville played Springfield close and Springfield lost by a lot to Danville does not mean that Danville is that much better than Lowville. And I think that Western Reserve game proves it. That was probably the best game complete on both sides of the field that Lowville has played all season long. They're going to need it again, that's for sure. They're going to need that kind of effort. They're going to need both sides of the field to be playing really, really well, offense and defense. Force some turnovers, take advantage of them when you do, and don't make the mistakes that cost you football games. That's going to be Lowville's key against a very good Danville team. Last but not least, we have Mohawk. They are continuing their playoff run against Imani Christian. And Mohawk looked very good in round 1. They seem to be world beaters right now. If they play like they did last week, it's plain and simple. They're gonna win. They're gonna win that game. I think they're the clear favorites tonight. Remember, they're about a round behind, so this is still a game where a team that this, quite frankly, doesn't match up with Mohawk is going up there to play them. So I very much expect Mohawk to come away with this one. I don't want to say easily because football is never easy. You're out there, you're being physical, you're getting hit a lot, but Mohawk should have this one in the bag tonight against Amani Christian. So I like what I'm seeing. We have 8 games on the network that Mohawk won, unfortunately, because of the fees put on by the Pennsylvania. We will not be able to broadcast Mohawk, but every other game is going to be on the network. But a note that the Hoban game, Hoban versus Riverside, that one will be audio only because Spectrum is taking that one. And obviously, in order to say playoff, Spectrum will always have video rights. So when Spectrum goes, we have to do audio only. So good news is for you fans, that game will be free. Unfortunately, we can't bring the video. So make sure to still hear Ty Bartell and Mike Ackelson. They'll be there in Twinsburg for that one, audio only and free because it's audio only. We're not going to make you pay for that one. Everything else, here's the lineup of what announcers will be at these games and where you can see them. Garrettsville Garfield taking on Perry and Maple Heights. Dom O'Brien and Chris Sigler will be on the call there. We have South Range and Clearview. That one in Barberton, DJ Oakley, Gary Altizer, Handy Hake, and Chris Colucci all going to be there. A 4-man crew for South Range versus Clearview. Lowville versus Danville. Eric Hughes is going to be matched up with Ian O'Brien. That's going to be a fun call on their end. I don't believe they've called the game together before. If they have, it's been very scarce, and they're both high energy broadcasters. So this one should be fun in Lowville. I should say in Perry for Lowville. That's Maslin Perry, by the way. That's where Lowville and Danville are playing. Middle Ridge and Mogador, they're playing in Salem. It's a local one. Matt Marr and Jordan Barber will be on the call for that. As we said, Ty Bartell and Mike Ackelson will be in Twinsburg for Archbishop Hoban versus Riverside. That one will be audio only. Struthers versus Mineral Lake Catholic happening in Berkshire. Steve Hodge and Tyler Hartz on the call for that one. Ursuline taking on Villa Anna St. Joe's. This one going down in Marlington. It will also be audio only because of Spectrum, of course. And Tim Corso and Julian Johnson will have the call for you there. Last but not least, West Branch versus Canton South. Michael Janaki and Chris Filek going to be on the call there. 7 o'clock is your start time. Going down in Louisville. And that'll do it for the broadcast going on tonight for playoff football. Going to be an exciting one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. 8, sorry. Of course, I counted the Mohawk one. 8 games on the network tonight. 9 and 9 gets you access to the 6 ones that are going to be video, and that'll be one payment, gets you access to all of them. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find that virtual ticket. Make sure to check that out. And don't miss a minute of the playoff action. We're excited for it. We know you guys are too. And going to be a fun time. We're going to take a break. And on the other end, we're going to have some more basketball previews on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come. Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
As Comco celebrated 70 years in 2022, we have much to be thankful for. We are proud of the Comco culture as we serve our customers with Comco Care with our premier customer service, quality parts, and on-time delivery. The partnerships we have with our customers and our community are second to none. We thank you for your continued support. We are proud to be part of this community and will continue to offer great jobs for great people.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
Your culinary adventure awaits at Legends Food and Drink. Experience a welcoming ambiance while you explore our appetizing menu featuring over 20 meals under $20 and over 30 lunches for $12 or less. Our private dining room seat between 10 and 20 at no additional cost. And don't forget our spacious 35-seat bar for your favorite sporting event. Book your special occasion in our elegant banquet room that seats up to 150 comfortably. Legends Food and Drink, a taste you'll remember. Market Street and Route 224 in Boardman.
Time arts out. Anthony Hartwig with Coach Mandy Rowe of the LeBray Vikings girls basketball team. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing really well.
Coach, I always like to start off with the practice question because practices are now ongoing. You've had a couple under your belt. Got to see what you have from what you don't have. What have you seen? What have you liked in practices right now?
Practices have been great. Lots of high energy. We have 14 girls, so there's great competition within each other. So they're really pushing for spots right now, and we haven't had that in the last couple of years. So it's just making practice. It's just a lot better to see the competitiveness in them this year.
I love the inter squad competition. When you look at spots that are available and the girls that you have fighting for them, let's go right from that into meeting the team and going down this roster and the girls that are fighting for their spots and the names that we should expect to see if we're coming out to LeBray.
All right, so I will start out with, we have one senior, Eva Presnar. She has played for 3 years for us. She didn't see a lot of minutes last year. She got in here and there, but she is a great shooter. She she's hanging in there. So I look to see her getting some minutes this year for us. Then we have 2 juniors. We have Sammy Wells. She got a lot of playing time last year in the post position. She worked really hard in the off season, working out in the gym at summer league. She was there all the time. And then she actually tore her ACL in our last volleyball game. So we will not have her on the court with us this year, but we look for her leadership off the court with the girls. And then we have Marissa Levinsky, who is our second junior. She has been a starter since her freshman year. She has really shown a lot of confidence this preseason. So we look to her for the leadership on the court and just helping those young ones out as they get going into their high school careers. Then we go to our sophomores. We have Mia Sloan. She ran the point for us last year as a freshman. She has matured tremendously. She's very aggressive. She loves defense. So that's one of her favorite things. So we looked for her to lead our offense and then lead us on defense as well. Ella Kuzma, she led us in scoring last year. She's just a pure athlete. So we're looking for her to do some great things on the defensive end as well this year. And then we have Michaela Scruggs, who got some minutes last year, and we'll be looking to her to fill in some of those spots that we lost last year. And then we have a huge freshman class coming in. They've been together playing since kindergarten. I've actually helped coach them with my husband as they've been all the way through elementary and junior high, and they have been very successful. They have very high basketball IQs, and they just see things and can they're very good basketball players. So we look to fill a few of those in. Riley Rowe is one of them. She's very long and athletic. She'll do anything defensively, offensively that we ask her to do. Mariah Jones is a true post player, but she can also handle the ball well and play a little bit outside as well. So that gives us an inside-outside game. And then Angel Scruggs, who's a sister to Michaela Scruggs, she's a shifty little guard, just determined, and will do anything for you. She can score in all aspects on the offensive end. So that rounds out what we're looking at for rotational wise. And then we have Megan Young and Brielle Stout, who are also freshmen that could see some minutes as we get moving. And then Kendra Young also is a sophomore who might find some minutes in there too.
This must be exciting for you, having such a big freshman class and an influx of youth coming in, knowing that now, I mean, you got to play that happy balance game now as a coach where you have some experienced players, but you got to teach now. What is it like when you have a good group of freshman girls? What are you really focusing on this first varsity year with them?
So it's probably the speed of the game. They're used to being the fast ones, playing in the junior high level, and then just coming into the varsity level where you're playing against 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and you're just a 14-year-old trying to figure things out a little bit. But I do think that they will be able to adjust quickly. And if they don't, they're going to have to. There's really no option for that. And that goes back to my girls that had to play last year as freshmen. They kind of got thrown into the wolves with our gauntlet of a schedule last year. So they had to learn really quick. It didn't always show on the scoreboard, but we did make a ton of progress last year, and it wasn't always the greatest, and it was frustrating. But I think those girls learned some valuable lessons, and they got valuable experience from that I will carry over this year to where they don't want to be on that end. So they know what that's like. So now they can get kind of that feeling of, okay, now we have some experience and we can win some games. We can do some great things with the team that we have.
They're also a good bridge to those freshman players for you as well, with that experience already under their belt.
Yeah, it's really exciting for us right now.
They'll definitely need all of that because this schedule does not get any easier for you. We'll start with the conference, the MVAC grade tier, loaded with really good teams. Talk about the conference you play in and what you expect out of it this year.
It's just a monster of a league. Last year we had 3 teams advance far into the tournament. Liberty, Brookfield made a great run, but you had Crestview and Garfield. They made great runs. I do know some of those teams were senior heavy, so they did lose a lot, but they also have great players coming back. So Liberty, they have a new coach, but they have some great players coming back. They've got 2 seniors that were good for them in the past years. Garfield, they have Mandy Cardinal. She's a tremendous athlete, amazing basketball player. And then you have Crestview returning everyone, and they have a ton of scores. Champion, they have most of their whole team back, and I know he's added some girls that decided to come back out. It just doesn't stop. Brookfield, they still have Kaylee Wellman. She's tremendous. They're under new leadership too, so that'll be interesting. We saw them in the summer. They'll compete very well. And then Camel, they have a new coach, and I've known her for a few years coaching against her at the junior high level, and I think she'll do a great job with them. And then Newton Falls, they're always prepared. They're always ready to go. They don't like to deviate from their system, and Coach Baker does a great job with them over there. So there's no easy path in our league this year.
You talk about the tremendous post players like Easter Day from Champion. You got Lavraine Gaskins from Crestview, just to name a few, Mandy Cardinal from Garfield. Have you ever remembered it having this conference having so many rich post players that you have to go up against game in and game out in the conference?
No, I'm actually excited that I finally have a true post player. I haven't had one in about 4 years. That was when we made a nice tournament run and had some great seasons. So it's nice to be able to do some different things with our offense and our defense with that. But our true post player is just a freshman, and she's very strong. But those girls she's going to be playing against are a couple years older than her. So she's going to have her work cut out for her.
Valuable experience, though. Valuable experience.
Coach, we talk about the conference and how tough it is, but you've also loaded your non-conference schedule with plenty of challenges too. Who are some teams that pop up outside of the MVAC that you're really excited to test yourself against?
So we open up with Heartland Christian. We were supposed to play Southington, and they had some injuries, so they had to just go with league games this year. So we were able to pick up Heartland Christian and Grand Valley. I haven't seen Grand Valley in a couple years, but I do know that he has a lot of returners coming back. Heartland Christian, Coach Lib, he does a great job with them. We scrimmaged them last year. He's a good friend of mine. I know he has a vast wealth of knowledge in the basketball area, and he's just getting those girls to work. We've got Girard, our second game. They're under new leadership, so that'll be interesting to see what he does with them. I know he'll do a great job, but they've got a couple girls coming back. And then I know he's building because he lost a lot of seniors. So not sure what that'll look like. But it'll be good for us to compete with those teams. And then we see Niles. He's done a nice job with those girls. They had a good season last year. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Coach, I always like to talk about the staff as well, because I know head coaches can't do it alone. You need a good group around you. What's the staff look like for the Vikings this year?
So I have Rick Aldridge. He's my JV coach, but he's been with me since I took the job over. He has a wealth of basketball knowledge. He tweaks a lot of our offensive sets, and he's got tons of ideas of what we can do here, or let's fix this. So we're always bouncing ideas off of each other. And then I have Todd Rowe. He's my husband. He's coming up from the junior high. He'll be my varsity assistant. And he does a lot of the shooting drills and the individual work with them, like before practice starts and stuff. And he's the fun guy. He's the buffer guy. When we get on the girls, when Coach Aldridge and I get on the girls, he always has to throw in a joke. And then I'm like, what are you doing? This is supposed to be a serious moment here. But he lightens the mood up for them. He makes it a lot more fun in practice for them. He brings the candy, brings the donuts. But yeah, he does. It's fun. It's nice having 3 people in the gym this year. It's an extra set of eyes on it.
A good old good cop, bad cop routine.
Yeah,
you know?
there you go. Oh, and I will say my junior high coaches, I have Alexis Huscroft and Jenna Repart. They are fresh out of college, and Jenna's still in college. So they're brand new to the coaching world, but they played under me. And so I'm happy to have them back in the program, giving back. And they're seeing what it's like on the coaching side instead of the players' side this year.
what's it mean to you that you've coached girls that want to come back to you and they want to come and help your program where it is now, and you've seen them on the player side, now you get to see them on the coaching side.
Oh, I love it. And I just laugh when they come to me and they're like, what do I do? And it's funny because I'm like, oh, don't you remember you were in this position once? But I love the relationships that I've built with the girls when they come back in, or I can just mentor them. It's just a great feeling.
Coach, my final question for you today. It's the theme I'm doing for all coaches this year. It goes back to the love of the game that brings us back each and every season, no matter our role in the sport. Where did the love of the sport of basketball begin for you?
Oh, wow. That's a big question there. That's a loaded one. I would say, I started playing down at our local YMCA in second grade, and my dad was a coach. He coached high school boys, high school girls. So I was always in the gym, a ball girl. He always had me up there with my brother and sister on Sunday nights, shooting and just going to basketball games, going to college games. I don't know. I played in Northwest Ohio, which is rich in basketball, and girls' games would sell out as much as boys' games. So it was such a great feeling. You'd have packed stands, and I don't know, it was just fun. And then college was fun. I've just had so many different stepping stones in basketball that it's just been great.
Coach, we want to thank you so much for the time you've given us today too, and just giving us a good preview of the Vikings in this very tough conference. We're wishing you the best of luck. We're rooting for you here at the network, and I'm sure both Anthony and I will be crossing paths with you again some point this season. YSN will get you for sure.
Thanks for all you guys do. We appreciate it so much.
Well, we appreciate you just as much, Coach. This has been a first edition of Coach's Corner with the LaBrave Vikings girls basketball head coach, Mandy Rowe.
So that's another basketball preview, girls basketball with LaBrave's head coach, Mandy Rowe. We have a bunch of them on the website. We've been churning them out, and we'll play as many of them as possible in the next week or so here on Running Point as we get ready for basketball season in just a few weeks. But that's going to kind of wrap up our show. Before we go, though, we're going to remind you of all the games you can find on the network today. And remember, one payment of $99 gets you all these games. The audio ones also are going to be free. So here you go. Garrettsville Garfield versus Perry. That one is going to be in Maple Heights. Dom O'Brien and Chris Sigler going to be on the call there. I wanted to start an hour earlier. It's slated for a 6 p.m. start in Maple Heights between Garfield and Perry. So make sure you know to get your virtual tickets a little bit early for that one, as it will start at 6, not the normal 7. 6 o'clock start for Garfield and Perry. Clearview versus South Range. Ed Barberton, DJ Oakley, Gary Altizer, Chris Colucci, and Andy Hake all on the call for that one. 4-man crew for that game in Barberton. Back to the normal 7 o'clock kickoff for that. Lowville versus Danville. That one's taking place in Maslin Perry. Home of the Panthers. Eric Hughes and Ian O'Brien going to be on the call there. 7 o'clock kickoff for you on that one. Middle Ridge taking on Mogador. That one's at Salem. Pretty local. 7 p.m. is your kickoff. Matt Marr and Jordan Barber are going to be on the call there. Audio only for Archbishop Hoban and Plainsville Riverside. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Audio only for that one, so it'll be free. Ty Bartell and Mike Ackelson will be on the call for you there. And then Struthers and Mineral Lake Catholic. That one will be at Berkshire. And Steve Hodge and Tyler Hart's going to be on the call there. Ursuline taking on Villa Anna St. Joe's at Marlington. This one's also audio only. And Tim Corso and Julian Johnson will be on the call there. Last but not least, West Branch and Canton South at Louisville. Michael Janaki and Chuck Filick on the call there. 7 o'clock start time And remember that all those games brought to you on the network can be purchased with one payment of $9.99. So that one $9.99 payment gets you access to every game. I want to beat this idea home. If you're not paying $9.99, it's not us. Don't, there are pop-ups, there are links in our comments. Don't fall for those. It is either $9.99, it's either one payment, or it's not us. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to do anything except follow the instructions on the virtual ticket. You go to ysnlive.com. Go to live games. You hit the game you want to see. You see the little green button that says purchase your virtual ticket. You do that. You follow the instructions there. When you get the playlist, this is something that people have been having a little bit of trouble with. So when you purchase and you see the window pop up, it'll be a YSN logo with a play button with a red arrow pointing to the playlist. You have to find your game on the playlist and hit play there. If you hit play on the main home screen, it won't play a game. So make sure you hit playlist and you scroll, you find your game. That's the only way to watch tonight. That's how it works. So some people have been hitting the play button on the home screen with just a YSN logo. Nothing pops up. They get frustrated. They message us. You got to pick a game on the playlist. There's instructions on that screen. Follow them. There's also a big red arrow that's pointing to playlist. So make sure that you get all that squared away. That is why it is a good idea to buy these virtual tickets a little bit early. Our broadcaster should be starting their broadcast a little before 7. So if you purchase it at 6:40 and you pop in, there should be a video up that you can see, okay, this is working. So that should be fine and dandy. Enjoy all the football action that is happening tonight. We will be back on Monday for a recap of all of it on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. 1-2 on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. And